Fallout 4 is a game that gives you plenty of ways to bring death to your foes. With around 189 different types of weapons and 49 legendary effects, the variation in the demise of your foes is nearly endless. What happens though if you restrict yourself to just 16 of these possible combinations? Can you beat Far Harbor using only unique items? I picked Far Harbor instead of the full game as a proof of concept, since it's much shorter. But the rules are simple. I can only use weapons that have unique names. So Deliverer and Kellogg's Pistol, for example, are fine, but any randomly generated item isn't. If I damage an NPC directly by any means other than hitting them with a named weapon, I have to reload. I'm a masochist though, and that seemed way too easy. To make myself truly feel the burn, the rule extends to armor as well, and I can't use Old Reliable since it's a gun everyone picks up anyway. We don't walk on beaten trails here, we drive off cliffs. I've seen the intro for Fallout 4 enough, so I just loaded a perma save I have right before you get out of the vault. I took a 10 in Charisma to make buying unique weapons easy. I wanted to use Idiot Savant, so I dropped my intelligence down to 1, and gave a few more points to luck. I'm a smooth talking bastard with a body that would crumble if you blew on it too hard. In other words, I'm what every Discord mod thinks he is. I left the vault, but I had one more stop to make before I could go to Far Harbor. I had to go steal gold from one of my neighbors. He doesn't need any. After committing larceny, I made a beeline for Kenji Nakamura's house. On the way there, I got chased by a lobster that would not stop spitting on me. Weighed down by the 2 gold bars I had jutting out of my pants, it nearly got me before I pulled a sick gamer move of going down a cliff. I ran into the Nakamura's house and they put down some feral ghouls that I would have had no chance of killing myself. I nearly got a glowing one as well, but he wisely backed off. After having my life saved, I thanked Kenji by extorting him for caps and by telling him that his daughter did not love him. He gave me his boat to go find her. Alan Lee was an asshole. The docks got attacked and he would not stop hitting me with Molotovs. I died here 4 times, and excluding the time I fell off and was eaten by a young gulper, all of the other times were his fault. However, he earned his life by selling me my first weapon, the Admiral's Friend. Ammunition for it was cheap at 2 caps a pop, and it had the instigating legendary effect, which did double damage on first hits. I stole Longfellow's comic book and told the nerd to take me to Acadia. Clearly cowed by my massive balls, he agreed. I got cocky with some trappers and received a bullet to my head. After stealing some stuff from Alan to make myself a sight, I went back to fighting the trappers. This time I won. The route to Acadia was long and boring. I got yelled at by a cultist and I yelled right back with my harpoon gun. I think I won that argument. Dima spouts some mystical bullshit and I tell him that I want a pony. He doesn't have a pony for me though, and my day is absolutely ruined. He tells me where Kasumi is, and after buying a refill on harpoons from Dijon and getting my rads purged by the synth doctor whose names I can't bother to remember, I went to go meet her. She refuses to leave until she finds out what's up with Dima. Rather than doing anything complicated like she wanted me to, I just go ahead and ask him. They give me a program and she goes full nerd on it. I just get her to stop talking and move on to the next mission. On the way to find the children of Adam, I killed 2 bears and the third got me. It's always a bear that you don't see that gets you. I found the children holding a trial outside the nucleus where one had to shoot the other. I tried to intervene, but the radiation bypassed my body and sent the victim flying. The Grand Zealot said I had to drink some weird drink in order to join the children. As such, I went off to find the spring. I found the spring and drank the forbidden Kool-Aid from it. I started tripping absolute donkey balls and followed a weird ghosty lady into the distance. She led me to a bunch of ghouls. I murdered a bunch of ghouls and grabbed a statue from inside the building. I came back and showed the Grand Zealot the statue, and he says I've been chosen by the Mist Mommy. I mean the Fog Mother. I take a quest from the High Confessor since he gives us the only piece of armor I'm going to be able to use for most of this playthrough. He wants us to find out whether Sister Aubert is loyal or not. Spoiler alert, she isn't. I die of rad poisoning the first time I try to talk to her, but the second time I get to extort her for a decent few caps. Of course, it's not enough to stop me from paying the good confessor a visit. For my trouble, I'm given a hat, which looks absolutely fabulous and gives me 2 whole damage resistance. I convinced another cultist that I've been sent by Adam in order to receive some anti-rad drugs from their buddy. I then head up to go beat the sparks out of some bots. 3 seconds in, one beats the sparks out of me with a well-placed bullet to the skull. I decide to change my harpoon gun to Flechette one. I then come back and dispatch all the turrets with my harpoon shotgun. Soon enough though, I came across my first real challenge. There's a legendary Assaultron in here, and I'd already used my critical on another Assaultron way earlier. I couldn't take even one hit from it without dying since I was pretty much naked. While I could dance around it forever, it'd get me eventually with its eye beam. Without any other option, I just went for it and died again and again. I was stuck until I hit gold on my 5th or so death. That's when I realized I could just cripple the Assaultron's legs. It took 2 tries, but they got crippled, and then I decommissioned the robot. I did the whole boring Dima brain mission, and then I headed back to Far Harbor to replace my flechettes with the original Harpoon mod. I then made the uneventful trek over to the Vim factory. Inside was the hardest clearing I've done this whole game. There's 2 key issues here. One is that the super mutants can take more than 1 harpoon, and by the time I've reloaded, they've had their chance to fire. The second issue is that there's plenty of mutant hounds, which can kill my character in 1 hit, and they try to get into melee much more than the super mutants do. I've got 2 objectives here though, so I have to go through it. The hardest fights were actually near the entrance to Dima's quest thing. Funny enough, it wasn't the mini-boss that was giving me trouble. At first it was a glowing mole rat from behind me that I was just unable to locate. Later it was just one skirmisher that was positioned perfectly for me to be unable to hit him, without taking 2 shots in return. After plenty of deaths, I lost my patience and just used a critical on the skirmisher. I talked up an AI and grabbed the skull of Captain Avery, the real one. I confront Dima, he pretends to be guilty, and then he says he wants to replace Tectus. He says I have to kill the original one for him, and he bribes me with a piece of chest armor. I happily accept since it boosts my damage tolerance up to 1619. I grabbed some of Martin's tapes for him. I use the tape that Dima makes to lure Tectus out, and I put a harpoon through the Confessor's forehead. I then decide that the nucleus needed some reconstruction, and I used Tectus's body to help me rebuild one of the walls. Dima made the new Tectus, and gives me 1,500 caps. Still no pony though. I go downstairs and tell Kasumi to go home, she's reunited with her family, and I beat Far Harbor using only unique items.